Hi, everyone. My name's Ted Robbins, and I'm a parent trainer for Asking is Caring. Before I get started, I'd like to tell you that this section of Care 2 is just extremely important and personal to myself. The reason why it's so important and personal is 2.5 years ago, my oldest son, Christian, at the age of 16 years old, died by suicide with my firearm. So I want to thank everyone for allowing me to come on and really give this section of this presentation because I feel it's extremely important. The section we're going to give the training on today is called Care 2. Care 2 that we have is really talking about practical steps. And when we talk about practical steps, these are not just steps that can you use in your home, but these can be used in the entire community to not only make yourself and your family safer, but being able to make it safer for friends that are coming over to the house. This step of Care 2 is also really important because of the easy access to lethal means in your home increases your household risk for suicide. Also, youth acts of suicide tend to be more impulsive. Did you know that over 50% of youth suicides, ages 10 to 18, involve a firearm or medications? Girls are more likely to attempt suicide than boys. Medication overdose is the most common method used by girls. Boys are almost 3 times more likely to die by suicide than girls, with firearms being the most common method used for boys. And then in youth suicides that involve a firearm, 82% use a family member's firearm. Now, during these presentations, we try to stress that this is not an anti-gun message. Guns and medication do not cause suicide. But what they do is offer a lethal means of high risk for suicide that we have. And again, in Christian's case, my oldest son, it was all about risk for him. And there was no way for us to be able to save him at that time because of the use of the firearm. So again, we try to stress and look at these statistics. And when you look at the one where it talks about the firearms, that's the reason why there was really no chance to save Christian, because he did use my firearm. Let's talk next about practical steps for medication storage and disposal. You'll see over here on the left-hand side of the screen, you'll see the little pill box or the lock box for prescriptions or over-the-counter medication. It doesn't have to be even as fancy as this. It can be a box that you go to Lowe's or Home Depot to lock up medication, or a cabinet as long as it has a lock on it. But these days of being able to go down to Costco and leave a giant-sized bottle of Costco Tylenol in your house, those days should change. You can use these pill organizers. We have another picture here to the left-hand side of a pill organizer that we have. And if we're able to store our medication in a locked area and then being able to use these pill organizers that we have, it can be very helpful. Also, if you're not using medication that you have anymore, there's also a lot of take-back sites that you can take your medication to. We stress in our area, there's individual boxes like at Walmart, Walgreens, stores that are like that have near the pharmacy, they have a box where you can take your medication to if you're no longer using them, and to be able to drop them off and keep your family safer. And then we like to closely supervise children in the use of medications. And the reason why we do that is that you might have done a really good job of being able to lock up your medication, being able to put it in the pill organizers. But what we're trying to stress is if you need to also closely supervise the children, because they might be taking the medication out and then stockpiling them for a future planned suicide. Now let's talk about practical steps for firearm storage. Store all firearms using a safe or other locking devices. There's lots of locking devices that you have individual trigger locks or safe. The safest practice is to lock firearms and ammo separately. And what I'd like to do for just a second is let's concentrate on what I just said. I said safest practice is to lock firearms and ammo separately. The reason why I'm stressing that is that as a parent, I grew up with the gun rack in the back of the car. My family had guns within the household. Myself, I bought our firearm for protection to protect my family. I had the ammunition and the firearms separate, and I had them hidden. I had them so hidden that I thought that no one would be able to connect the dots ever to be able to find the ammunition and the firearm. But I didn't have them locked up properly. Christian, my oldest son, he was extremely smart, and it took him a while to I think to connect those dots, but he was able to find them because I was not storing them properly. People have said that I'm using it to protect my family. You see the picture on the left-hand side here. There's a biometrics, a quick acting, and if you look at my thumb as an example, I don't think there's any thumb in the world that's exactly like my pickle finger that I have here in order to open this biometric device. But there are ways to safely have access to the firearms by still locking them up properly. And then not allowing children unauthorized or unsupervised access to firearms. This is really important, and we talk about safety and we talk about risk within your home that you have, but your children might have been trained on firearms. They might understand how they work, but how about their friends that are coming over the house? So really, when we're talking about safety and we're talking about risk, we're talking about not only making your home safer for your children or people that you're caregiving for, but also for friends that are coming over the house and truly making it safer for them. These are things that you can do when you have a youth today that is in crisis. I look back at Christian, and it was all about trying to buy time. We were trying to get the right treatment for Christian. Nothing was working. And he drove in the middle of the night on a early Sunday morning. He was 16 years old and he could drive, but he used my car keys. Now let's go through the myth. If someone really wants to kill themselves, they will find a way. If they cannot access a firearm, they will just choose another method. The reality of that is that suicide crisis rise and fall. Many people in suicide crisis fixate on one method. If someone in crisis and cannot physically access a firearm or their method, this can lead to a chance for help. Collaboration. This is collaboration 3 because this is the third collaboration during our presentation for these parents and caregivers. And what's really cool is that we take these parents, and once they come in, we're trying to create a community environment. And creating this community environment, we're trying to help parents and caregivers feel like they're not alone. I know that I felt alone at that time when Christian took his life, and being able to be in a group, in a room with people that understand or maybe going through the same thing that you're going through. And again, making them feel like they're not alone is important. So we have these 3 collaboration sections that everyone that is in the room, we give them workbooks. And so they go to their section of their workbook, and they have these individual questions that themselves and a partner that is in the room will go through, and they'll ask their partner all of these individual questions and write it in their workbook. Like, how do you store medications at your home if you have them? How do you store firearms at your home if you own them? What are some practical steps you can take to improve medication and firearm storage in your home?